Hi Capricorn, this is Mimi with Divination by Mimi. Welcome to your January 1st through the 15th, 2018 tarot reading with a little bit of astrology and some oracle if necessary, although it's been pretty straightforward so far. So you are a cardinal earth sign. I am too. You are initiate, cardinal meaning you're initiator, a beginner, a maverick, a pioneer. You start things, right? So when you think about maverick, pioneering Capricorns, think of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Or on another opposite end of that, crazy end of that, how about Marilyn Manson? Some interesting Capricorns out there, people that you wouldn't think are Capricorn because they have a reputation of being kind of straight-laced, ruled by Saturn, restriction, law, things like that. But in fact, they are a very innovative energy, but they're practical about it. So Capricorn, that's you. And you rule the 10th house, which is about reputation, how you're seen in the world, particularly through your occupation. It associates the 10th house with the father figure. Now, not to be sexist, and it doesn't have to be the father figure, that could be the mother figure. If the mother was the person who went out in the world to earn and bring back, rather than was in the home nurturing and caring for the family, then it would be a mother figure for you. But this is the party that traditionally old school would be the father figure, and you're ruled by Saturn, again, the lord of restriction, the lord of karma, three-dimensional world, manifestation, Malkuth, Geb, definitely the restrictive planet. However, he also gives you what you deserve. Now, that can be very good or very bad. If you deserve to be rewarded for work, for integrity, and consistent work, Saturn brings that, it's the karma, so it brings home the reward for the work. I mean, energy is energy. If you invest a lot of work in something, something's going to come back from it, okay? So Saturn is that something. It's that comeuppance, good or bad. Capricorn is very much associated with, as I said, reputation in the world. They tend to be leaders in the areas of government and business, but not always. Again, the rest of the chart's going to play into it, of course. I'm a Capricorn, but I'm certainly not a leader in business. I kind of hang out in the fringes of the art world, and that has a lot to do with the other aspects in my chart. So look at your chart to get a bigger picture. But the basic aspect of the sun sign Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, is structure, the skeleton. The frame of the house, the structure on which things are built. And a lot of times that's the rules and the law. Okay? Now in our constellation, or in our house, part of the sky, the 10th house, right now we kind of have a traffic pileup. We've got Pluto. We've got, and Pluto is the lord of the underworld, the leader of the, or the ruler of the 8th house. This is the stuff that is not always shown or seen the light. Nevertheless, it's the stuff that heals us. You know, you have to clean the wound out before it can heal. Otherwise, if it's never seen, it doesn't see the light of day and isn't addressed, it festers and becomes infected. So this is the importance in the healing of the 8th house and Pluto. But he's not the most popular sign. He gets, you know, he's kind of his power player. He's a male figure, so he's kind of like a I don't know, a heavy, a downer, kind of like Saturn is. But he's transformative, as is Saturn. Another couple of female archetypes popping in our constellation at the same time, the 10th house, are Black Moon Lilith, the archetype of the dark feminine, not dark in a bad way, but again, that repressed, uninvestigated part of ourselves, perhaps oppressed, not just, yeah, oppressed, sorry, I said that. Suppressed and oppressed, okay, that part of ourselves that is seen by the, possibly by the status quo collective as the rebel, but is really in fact there in all of us. It's shadow. So she's in there, and then you have Venus, the goddess of love. She's obvious, beauty, love, relating, value. You know, so there's some opposites going on all within Capricorn. And a big thing that happened just on the 21st, the solstice in December last year, oh my gosh, was Saturn returned home to the 10th house, to Capricorn. So much has been happening now, and it's not going to change much. There's still a lot happening. And we'll start with the first, astrologically. So as I said, there's a traffic pileup in our house, in the 10th house, with Pluto, Black Moon Lilith, Venus, and Saturn. Right across from it, In other words, our polar opposite, the other cardinal sign of Cancer in the 4th house, there is a full super wolf moon at 11 degrees Cancer, or the 4th house. That is about home. When you think of Cancer, you think of a crab. The crab has a shell. The shell is its home. It carries with him. So Cancer and the 4th house is very much about home, hearth, comfort, nurturing, and it's associated with the mother. So we're traditionally, so where we are associated in the 10th house with the father, father knows best. He goes out and he earns money and he comes home and he kisses mommy, right? Mother is associated with the 4th house, and that would be Cancer. So you can see the polarity that plays off the opposition, the cardinal opposition of Capricorn Cancer. And that's playing out right now with this full super moon. Also, this first week, with that full super moon, the moon is creating a lovely water trine with a couple of signs. Neptune 1 in Pisces, with Venus, of course, but who's in our sign, Capricorn. With Neptune in Pisces, which is a water sign, and that is that will precipitate download spiritually. So watch your dreams. Look for those archetypes or symbols or signs that completely repeat themselves for these next few weeks. They're relevant. Watch, pay attention to what you feel, see, hear, experience, because it is all information being brought in via this beautiful harmonious trine with the moon, the unconscious, and Neptune, the collective, the larger borderlessness of us, our true nature. There's no you or me, there's us, and that's Neptune. So when you consider that there's no you or me, there's only us, then there is a plethora of information that we all share in this collective unconscious. The other lovely aspect of that with Mars in Scorpio, another water sign, is with the Venus aspect and the moon. It makes a lovely harmonious trine as it relates to relationships. So you might feel very loving for the first couple of weeks. You might, with the Mars energy, you might have the impetus to change the dynamic of relationships, loving, intimate relationships. So for example, if you've been dating someone for a long, long time, you might think, you know what, I'm going to take it to the next level. I'm going to ask this person to marry me. Or if you have been, I don't know, you and your partner have been thinking about adopting a child or getting pregnant, you might decide, let's just do it. Maybe we can afford it in 10 years, maybe now, but let's just do it. So it's that impetus, it's that move to change on things that maybe you've been floundering about for a while. So these are some lovely things that are happening very intensely from the 1st through the 6th, particularly with the spiritual stuff, the 6th, Saturday. The 2nd, Uranus, which is the rebellious planet, the revolutionary planet of anything can happen at any time, uncomfortable changes, these things can't stay as they have been, we don't like the status quo, upheavals. Uranus has been retrograde for a very long time in the fiery constellation of Aries. So this is fire feeding an air sign that likes to change things, but he's in retrograde. So how frustrating is that? But despite that retrograde, we have seen on the world stage evidence of revolution and rebellion and social upheaval in the form of the Catalonian move for independence, the J20 activists at the whatever the World Trade Organization is called these days. Or, as we have seen it over the past few months, it could manifest itself in other less comfortable, abrupt changes, like natural disasters. So, with this energy, change can be uncomfortable, but it is inevitable, particularly with this. So, watch what happens from the 2nd on this year, because you might see a upturn in revolutionary activity on the news, some climate change. And when Uranus moves into Taurus, the 2nd house, you might see some significant changes and progressions in the monetary system. You might have noticed already this move for Bitcoin. It's like a heavy, heavy move for Bitcoin. A lot of other things are going to be changing. So watch for that right around May into the summer. Now this month we have 2 full super moons. The first one I mentioned is in Cancer at 11 degrees. 11 being the master number of service. The second one is on the 31st of January in Leo, the 5th house, and I'm not sure what the degrees, what portion of Leo it's going to show up in, but it's not only a full super blue moon, it is going to have an eclipse as well. So that's a big day, the 31st. I'll get more into that lunation in the second half of the month. Oh, and then there's a new moon in Capricorn on the 17th, our sign, along with all those other activities occurring in there on the 17th of January. So we'll watch for that, and I'll upload a new moon video reading as well. So I think that is it for us. I hope that was clear in terms of astrology. Now we're going to get into your reading. I am using the Thoth, or the Tahuti deck. This was the deck that was painted and designed and put to canvas by Lady Frida Harris with conceptual input by Aleister Crowley. It's the Thoth Tahuti deck. And I'm going to do a 4-card pull. This is based on a situation in your life. Perhaps a relationship you're in, or you're feeling stuck and unfocused, or something bad has just happened. The first card is going to indicate or illuminate that thing. Okay. The second card is a positive aspect of that thing, whether you see it or not. The third card is going to be the negative aspect of that thing, whether you see it or not. And then the final card or cards will be the outcome, or not the outcome, but the overall advice for the situation. So this is for Capricorn. Cardinal Earth sign, the goat, ruler of the 10th house, ruled by Saturn, karma, the lord of karma, the lord of restriction, but also the lord of discipline, for January 1st through the 15th, 2018. What's up with Capricorn? January 1st through the 15th, 2018. Holy Hecate. No, something popped out for you, so she was ready to talk. Let's see what we need. We got 3 cards. First card is failure. The 7 of discs in this deck, or coins. This is, I apologize, I can't remember the astrological attribution of this. Yeah, this is Saturn in Taurus. So Saturn, we already discussed, our ruling planet, Capricorn's ruling planet, is a restrictive rules and regulation kind of energy, a 3-dimensional world. You know, in Taurus, another earth sign and a very slow moving earth sign, there's a feeling of failure here. So there's 7 discs, and these are the colors of Bina, black and blue. I think there's a little bit of, because Saturn is Bina in the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, or Sekhert in the Kemetic Tree of Life. Yeah. So there's definitely the shades and the varying hues of Bina, which tends to be blue or black and blue, which tends to make this sort of teal color. So what you can see from this, if you look at it, it's very dense energy. It's more than a failure, I would call it a stagnation. So you're feeling stuck. Next card, and this is in the positive, is the Tower and the Upright. So something's about to change. And you know, that's not surprising with Saturn having returned to our constellation. It brings change. If not change, it brings reassessment of how things are being done. A lot of people, again, Saturn and the 10th house being about the father, this is kind of like dad coming home from vacation to see if you took care of the house. Did you throw a party? Did you take out the garbage? Did you take his car out for a ride? That kind of thing. Is there a chip in anything? Saturn's coming home to check how things were doing. In your positive aspect, you've got the Tower. Tower is karmic. It's Mars in, is Mars? Well, it's Mars's card. You know, in this deck, it's Mars, and the Rider-Waite-Smith, I believe it's Jupiter that rules it. So it's fire, but it is change. It is a shaking of the foundations of you, whether that's good, whether that's bad. No, it's in the upright, doesn't make it any better. But in relation to your current situation of stagnation, I have to think it's a good change, right? Because stagnation, even though we are an earth sign and we tend to be plodding and careful, we still are a cardinal sign, meaning we still like to get shit going, right? Make a move, get things going. If something needs to be done, we're not going to sit there and, should I do the dishes or should I not do the dishes? I'm going to freaking do the dishes because they need to be done. That's a Capricorn cardinal energy. So this is a very uncomfortable situation. Personally, being stuck in a situation like this as a Capricorn myself is so painful and frustrating that unexpected change is actually welcome. So I tend to think of this as good. And regardless, there is no good, there is no bad. There is major arcana occurrences like the Tower, which is obviously in our future right now. It is the positive aspect of this denseness we're experiencing right now, is this is about to change. So good or bad, if we like being stagnant or we don't like being stagnant, don't worry, it's going to change. Okay? Negative aspect is the Princess of Wands. Princesses are like in the Thoth deck are like the page, and wands are fire. So, and the pages are messages. The negative aspect to this is we might be subject to. Strangely, as evolved as the 10th house is, and evolved as Capricorn tends to be, understanding the limitations of the physical world being ruled by Saturn, there is still, strangely enough, and it's probably just trepidation, careful trepidation, where there's an insecurity to Capricorn. With that insecurity, sometimes we are subject to other people's ideas. We might trust messages and thoughts from other people before we trust our instinct and our gut. Okay, now I haven't gotten the overall advice card yet. That's the next one here. And that is the 5 of Cups. In this deck, it's called Disappointment. 5 is an uneven number. This is Mars in Scorpio. Now, oddly enough, Mars used to be the ruler of Scorpio before telescopes were a thing. So I don't know why it's considered a bad placement. Mars is currently in Scorpio right now. So when it's there, Mars, again, is the warrior planet. It is an impetus for change, but very often it's an impetus for violence. And I don't mean violence as in somebody hits you. Unpleasantness. Let me put it that way. When it's in Scorpio, the land of the underworld, the land of shadow world, deep stuff, the deep wound that we need to expose and clean out to heal, right? But if it's not looked at, it festers. We've got to look at that wound. So, as we're sitting here stagnant, with an insecure tendency to listen to other people's advice over our own intuition, possibly shady people that lack integrity, we have very, for the most part, Capricorns have integrity because we understand the nature of Saturn. It's, you know, you can not have integrity, but if something doesn't have a good foundation, it's going to fall. We know that. So, but there's an insecurity there, right? This is obviously some shadow work that Capricorn needs to do. Rather than pay attention, again, this is the negative placement of our current situation of stuckness, right? Stagnation. And again, it's called failure, but I don't consider it failure. We're just stuck. And usually it's because of our own limiting thoughts, or we're not getting out of our own way, particular Capricorn, earthy energy. We got to not listen to the advice of others before our own intuition. Don't be insecure. Get away from questioning our own logic and step into our own power, right? Saturn's a heavy hitter. It rules us. People don't necessarily always like it. It's not popular to have to do what you're supposed to do. And, you know, what goes up must come down. Wow, that's a bummer. But it's the truth of the world that we live in, right? So he's not always the most popular guy like Jupiter is. However, he is a heavy hitter. He rules this manifested world. So take some confidence, number one, in our rightful heir and ownership of our placement. That rulership tells us we understand the nature of things, of the physical world, and we understand the power of understanding that nature. When we come into that, when we go into Mars in Scorpio, which is its placement at the moment, strangely enough, kind of perfect with Saturn coming back into Capricorn, right? This is the impetus for us, and this is the overall advice, remember? To do the deep shadow work that makes us so insecure that we seek other people's information and suggestions or even approval over our own intuition on solving a problem. Okay? So the change is going to happen one way or another. Doesn't matter. It's going to happen. It's good that it's happening because we're stuck. As we're dealing with it, avoid putting other people's skills or abilities above our own. And go in and do the deep work of Mars. Maybe unpleasant, but dig up that stuff that hurts. Right? Why am I so subservient to my boss at work? Why is that? Because I want to please my boss so much. Why do I want to please my boss so much? Because it was impossible to please my mother or father when I was young. These are just analogies that I'm bringing up as to why, what motivates us. And that is the 8th house stuff, Scorpio stuff. So let Mars do its shit. It's unpleasant, yeah, but look at it. It means going back and visiting some old wounds, no doubt. And it means going back and remembering Thanksgiving when you were 4 and you didn't do something right, so you just got, totally, emotionally beat down by, the parent that did it to you for not doing something right on Thanksgiving. And it was in front of the whole family, so it was just devastatingly embarrassing. It means revisiting those painful memories, but that's the stuff that heals us. That's the beauty of Scorpio. That is the beauty of the 8th house. It heals. When you heal, you know your own power. You don't look for other people's advice. You don't consider other people's abilities or insight more powerful than your own, right? You listen to yourself, and then this happening, it's going to be a smooth transition. Will it be change? Yes. Is change uncomfortable? Sometimes yes. But you'll be prepared because you will have done the work. I hope this helps. So just to repeat, because I love to do that because I'm old, we're stuck. We're stagnant. Something's going to change, which is good, because staying stuck and stagnant as a cardinal sign, whether Earth or not, is not good. It's not healthy. So something's going to change. The warning is to not look to other people for advice or value their opinion over our own instinct and intuition. And the best way to come to that conclusion is to do the deep shadow work of the warrior planet of Mars in Scorpio, the 8th house, and dig up those old wounds, clean them out, show some light on them, sew them up, and go out into the world so that they're healed. And this transformation will be fantastic. This is the stuff that's about Saturn coming home to Capricorn. So I hope that helped. It actually was very helpful to me. So I'm going to make sure I get ready to keep my eyes and ears open for patterns in my life where they're repeating themselves from the past that are repeating themselves in my current life, and make sure that I heal those and nurture myself from the wound, and sew it up and clean it up and get it ready to go out and face the change that's about to happen. And remember, it doesn't mean it's bad, doesn't mean it's good, but it's change. Actually, that's good. And there's no real good or bad anything, right? Changes or experiences we have, they're just that, to teach us. All right, hope that helped. If I don't see you for a personal reading, which, by the way, you can arrange by emailing me at memememes@hotmail.com. That email address is in the description box below the video. If this did or did not relate to you or resonate with you one way or the other, consider sharing it with someone, only because if it didn't resonate with you, it might with them. All the energetic planetary changes occurring, every little bit of insight can help, so maybe it will help someone. If it didn't resonate with you, it probably wasn't meant for you, so don't worry about it. For those who have booked a reading, thank you so much for inviting me into your life, for the processes that you're going through, the milestones you're experiencing. I will see you for the lunation videos, and then I'll see you for the second half of January for those videos. My gosh, yours is long. I'm sorry. For the second half of January, the 15th through the 30th. Otherwise, I'll see you next month. You take care, Capricorn. Take care.